Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to COS Indiana Live. My name is Dale Parrish. I am the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana, and want to welcome you to our broadcast this evening. We've got another special broadcast lined up for you, just like we always do. And I want to get going with you on. Let me get the right. Banners up here for you. And first of all, I want to tell you that everything that we present to you on this broadcast can be found in our state newsletter. Let me bring up my little PowerPoint here and to show you a little better view of this. But everything that we do can be seen, and if you want to learn more information, you can go to our state newsletter. Now, if you're a supporter of Convention of States, you'll get this via email every month. But if you're not a supporter, you can find it on our state Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana, and you can find it on our website, national website, which is also another source where you can find all this information, and that's conventionofstates.com. conventionofstates.com. That's our national website. So that's where you can go to find find all the information about further information, I should say, about anything and everything that we present on this broadcast. Now, tonight I want to introduce a gentleman to you, and I'm going to bring him up here right now. We are adding a co-host to the broadcast, and the co-host is going to be our state communications coordinator, Mr. Ken Kashuba. Hello, Ken. How are you doing?
Hi, Dale. Fine, thanks. Good to see you tonight.
You notice I said Mr. Ken Kashuba. You caught that, didn't you?
Very formal. Yeah, that'll drop on for a few programs. Yeah.
You're right. But Ken is, as I said, he's our state communications coordinator. And Ken will be co-hosting and helping out. And you'll have to bear with us because we're developing this role. We have some ideas on some things that we want Ken to be doing, and he's going to start out this evening kind of monitoring the comments and questions that we get. So again, I want to say if you have a comment or if you have a question, feel free to enter that in the comment section, and Ken will pick it up and flash it on the screen here so that we can address that comment. Though your comments and questions are very important, so we really encourage you to give us those comments and questions. Now, let me. So I'm gonna keep Ken on the screen there with me most of the time this evening. So we'll move along with a little different format with two of us on the screen at one time. Now, I also want to let you know that we're trying to make some other changes to the broadcast. We're trying to make it a 30-minute broadcast, cutting it down from about, well, we were at 45, 50 minutes on some broadcasts. So we're trying to cut it down to 30. And I know some of you have been asking about where's Maringo Mike. He's on a little bit of a vacation right now. We're going to bring him back, but we're going to probably have him do some things a little differently than he was doing before. But Maringo Mike will be coming back. Now, as far as the rest of the format this evening, we'll be doing our interview segment. That'll be the first segment. And tonight we have Debbie Stewart bringing us another chapter in constitutional literacy this evening. Then in our second segment, we call that the contributor segment. And as a matter of fact, tonight in our contributor segment, Maringo Mike has submitted a message to us. Marengo Mike's looking for social media warriors. So is that what you understand, Ken, that he's looking for?
Yes, I think Marengo understands that social media warriors are a very important element of our grassroots movement here. They are the direct connectors to people who have never heard of Convention of States before or Article 5. So Marengo's going to be making a push to find some people out there that want to become part of history with us.
So all of you out there that are not supporters of Convention of States, you're the people we're trying to reach. And if you want to join us, and if you're interested in social media, this being a social media warrior could very well be a role that you could play. And we're in need of people that are willing and able to do that type of a role. So as I said, Marengo Mike will be on our contributor segment. And then the final segment will be the invitation segment, which that's where we're going to invite you to join Convention of States and show you how to go about doing that. So, well, Ken, let's get going on our first segment, and let's bring Debbie Stewart up into the screen, and let's get us set up here. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Dale. Hi, Ken.
Hello, Debbie.
And I'm gonna put Debbie here on the spotlight. No. There you go. All right, Debbie. Let me get your banners up here so that we know what you're going to be talking about tonight. I think you wanted to talk about parental rights, correct?
That's absolutely true.
Okay, that hasn't changed, huh?
No, sir.
All right, take it away, Debbie.
Okay, thanks. So we're going to talk about parental rights tonight, and I think that we've all seen a large tendency of the government trying to do more and more things with our children without the consent of the parents. You can look at vaccines, abortions, prescription drugs, education. We're seeing it happening across so many different areas, whether it's young kids, middle age, or even high schoolers. I know I was just reading the other day that Tennessee actually has a law now that if you're 14 or over, you're considered a minor adult now, so they don't need to get parents' consent for certain things in the high schools in Tennessee.
14.
So we're moving, what's
14.
that?
14.
14 and above, yes, is supposed to be where they don't have to get the consent for parents for certain things anymore like they used to.
Now, 14 years old, that's what, an 8th grader?
Usually 8th to 9th, rounding up to 9th maybe.
9th grader, okay.
Somewhere in there, but young still, very young.
Sure is, okay.
Yeah. So just some of the objectives I'd love to cover tonight is we're going to talk about Justice Antonin Scalia's viewpoint on parental rights, both his personal view versus his constitutional view. We want to understand the precarious state that the United States is in right now when it comes to parental rights. I don't think many people realize what's going on behind the scenes trying to erode our parental rights. Nobody's talking about them because then they'll be found out. And then recognize the connection between parental rights and education. Boy, did we see that in Virginia, right? With Youngkin running. And, what was said by his opponent that, hey, it's our job to educate kids. Parents don't need to be a part of it. Well, how well did that work for him? So, but before we get into the meat of the material, I just wanted to quote something that Michael Ferris put in here, that in 2013, MSNBC had a campaign called Lean Forward. And in this commercial, they had a lady, Professor Melissa Perry Harris, made a claim about child rearing that sounded more like communist China. And here's what she said. We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to the whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we can start making better investments.
Oh, Lord.
So, yeah, I mean, now she's a liberal author and speaker and stuff like that. So we wouldn't be surprised. But Michael Ferris's point was that there were a lot of people in that room and in that area who heard that. You didn't hear anybody argue, anybody saying anything to the contrary. It was like everybody agreed. Pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, that's terrible. Wow.
Pretty crazy. So, so the fact that she downplayed parent responsibility and she really was focused on the substitution of the state through public education is someplace I don't think our founding fathers had in mind. And I want to say parents 50 years ago didn't even have that in mind. So the direction that we're going as a country is very alarming right now. So now we're going to talk about Justice Scalia, because he was one of the Supreme Court justices that really changed the way we view parental rights in the year 2000. But before we get into what happened, two main questions. Does the U.S. Constitution protect the rights of parents to direct the upbringing of their children and their education? Or should the Constitution protect that right, those parental rights?
Good question.
So in the year 2000, a case for concern was Troxel versus Granville. And what it did is it pitted a couple's desire to see their grandchildren against the mother's desire to limit their access to their grandchildren. And so the court ruled in favor of the mom. Okay, so we would probably guess that. And they cited a constitutional right of parents to rear their children, which struck down a Washington state law that allowed any third party to petition the state courts for child visitation rights over parental objections. So probably most people thought that was a good decision. But interesting, Justice Scalia had a dissenting opinion, meaning he didn't agree with it. And here's the first part of his dissent. I'll read that and then I'll sum up the second part. In my view, Justice Scalia said, a right of parents to direct the upbringing of their children is among the unalienable rights which the Declaration of Independence proclaims. All men are endowed by their Creator. And in my view, this is his personal view, that right is almost also among the other rights retained by the people, which the 9th Amendment says the Constitution's enumeration of rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage. So that sounds really great, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he was right in there as a constitutionalist, as a conservative judge. But in his second part, this is what he said. To sum it up, I'm not going to, because it's kind of long, but basically he strongly believes in parental rights, but he does not believe there's a constitutional right on parental rights. He says that the Constitution does not say parents can direct the upbringing and education of their children, at least none that can be enforced in court. So he believes that if it's not explicitly stated in the Constitution, then it can't be true and it can't be enforced. But we know there's a lot of rights that are unenumerated, that they're implied by different things that are said. So one of our most conservative judges just ruled against a conservative ruling in a case. So that case really began to shape our parental rights movement now, where people are trying to take away more parental rights. But what Justice Scalia did in his dissenting opinion, he's looked at two earlier cases. And by the way, both of these decisions that were in the early 1900s, he disagreed with. So the first one was in 1923, Meyer versus Nebraska. Nebraska had a law that said that you couldn't teach foreign language to kids until they got to high school. And that was because they wanted them to be grounded in English, and they didn't want, with all the cultures moving over here from overseas, they wanted to make sure they were grounded in the American culture, and then in 9th grade they could have a language. So they used the due process law and said that no person shall be denied liberty without due process of law. But the question was, what does liberty mean? Does it mean more than just not getting thrown into jail? And so the court looked at certain things. They looked at Plato. And by the way, Plato, the philosopher, believed children should be separated from their parents and given instructions from the state. So if you've ever studied Plato, you probably know that. But
Really?
yes, yeah, he was not about parental rights at all.
Huh.
So the court rejected that idea. They rejected the idea that the child was a creature of the state, which was great. But Justice Scalia didn't agree with that. The second case was Pierce versus Society of Sisters in 1926, so just 3 years later. There was a political coalition, and the Ku Klux Klan got together, and they tried to pass a law that would ban private education. So, of course, the court cited, they ruled in favor of parental rights, but I wanted to read that to you real quick here, what they said. This was the court's ruling, which Scalia doesn't agree with. The fundamental theory of liberty upon which all governments in this union repose excludes any general power of the state. Let me make sure I have this right here. Sorry. Yeah. To standardize its children by forcing them to accept instructions from public teachers only. The child is not the mere creature of the state. Those who nurture him and direct his destiny have the right, coupled with the high duty, to recognize and prepare him for additional obligations. So Scalia, again, disagreed with this. He says personally he agrees with parental rights, but constitutionally he does not, because it's not explicitly stated. So if a very conservative judge feels that way, how do our liberal judges feel, and how will they rule, right? So those were the two cases that he cited in his dissent. So that just gives you an idea where we're heading. Now, Justice Scalia isn't alive anymore, and he's not a justice, but we know that those rulings then will affect every ruling after, right?
Right.
And then one other thing I wanted to touch on is who decides, because this is a big deal. Who should make difficult healthcare decisions for children? Is it the parent or the doctor? Anybody want to take a guess?
Okay, now wait a minute. We're at a point here where are we saying that parental rights are not guaranteed in the Constitution? Is that what we're saying?
That is what he said, because there's no explicit line in the Constitution that says, or the Declaration that specifically says child rearing or child upbringing or child education. Now, the court was very clear when it said earlier that part of the ruling of these earlier cases was, yes, you may have a home, and yes, you are to rear your children. So the earlier judges in the 1920s ruled that part of the unalienable rights that are in our Declaration and Constitution says that, yes, we have the right to rear our own children, and we know what's best for them as parents.
Okay.
But it's not written in the Constitution, and he's such a, he was very much what it says. That's exactly what we do.
Okay.
Stickler.
Right,
Yeah.
right, which can work against things too if you're not careful. Yes. So what I was saying was about, does the doctor or the parent get to decide when a child is sick? What do you guys think? What would you say?
Who decides whether a child is sick?
Yeah, no, what kind of care they get? What are the healthcare decisions?
It seems like it should be almost
both.
a little of both. I would think the parents would refer to the doctor.
I think it's both, but I think the parent has the ultimate decision.
The ultimate
Yeah,
say.
I feel like they have the final authority. Maybe. Well, in this is actually Michael Ferris took on this case of Jacob Steeler. Jacob was diagnosed as a child with bone cancer, and he went to this doctor and he did the protocol that he had surgery and had several rounds of chemo, several rounds of radiation. But his mother got to the point where she was like, I don't know if he can handle it anymore. Parents just know these things. And so they didn't think that he would survive many more. So they did a PET scan, and the cancer was gone. But the doctor wanted to do several more rounds of chemo just to make sure. The parents refused more treatment for their son. So then the doctor asked Child Protective Services to file charges against the parents. Well, CPS said no. Okay. So the doctor gets a higher authority involved than a lawyer to file charges against the parents now. So the question is, who makes the call? this doctor believed he should make the call for every child. So I just think that's crazy because, yes, we love doctors because they tell us things and they give us, protocol, what to do. But ultimately, we have to decide, are we going to take this medication with its side effects? Are we going to take this vaccine? Things like that. So basically, parental rights are at risk right now. I'm just giving you some examples here. And I would encourage parents to go to parentalrights.org, parentalrights.org. They have tons of things. You can get involved in your state, locally, statewide. It's a national movement, but every state is a part of it. And there are groups out there right now that their job is trying to remove parental rights from families. They are working hard. And so we need to fight back. And so we have to be careful. If we have a solid conservative judge that ruled liberally in this area, what will our liberal judges rule? And if we don't stand up and fight for those rights, they may soon be gone.
And I guess that's what second opinions are for sometimes, right? Even a doctor needs to acknowledge that a parent is, they don't agree with it. They go to another doctor. So I think sometimes doctors tend to lean towards making godly decisions, when it's really no part of what they should be doing. But we have a couple comments I want to go ahead and throw up just on this first section. Jerry Rowe brought one up here saying that 14 and older, they are minors. Minor adults can get married. He's calling it, obviously crazy, no matter what they say, since they are not adults. So, his comment obviously leads to not only getting married, but now allowing kids to make decisions concerning their sexual choices and other types of things that at that age really have no experience to make. So Jerry's on top of that one there. And then we have a couple from George Ward. George says maybe a nice concept would be to think of the kids' rights rather than the adults, best for the kids. And he followed that up based on your last comment there, Debbie, with wow, CPS getting involved. So that's a first.
Yeah, let me see what year that was. 2011 was that case. So, a lot can happen in a decade, but yeah.
Well, and it also brings in, I can remember, vividly hearing Hillary Clinton say it takes a village, and that mindset, that thinking.
That's right.
With Hillary Clinton and the Obamas, and just that whole push towards getting people to think about it that way. So.
Yeah, that whole push of socialism is, collective. It's the collective now. Yeah.
This has been very interesting. I've never really thought of parental rights as related to the Constitution per se. I guess I've just always assumed, that the parents always had the say so, always had the final say so, but. It's interesting that it's actually been challenged constitutionally in our history.
No, and I'd like to get the opinion of these people that say that what is their opinion of China that tells people how many kids they can have. And I think I think they upped that by a child this past year or so, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. I think they gave them an extra one, if they wanted one. But,
that's because they're so imbalanced with men and women now. They're hoping that maybe, I don't know, because before, if you could only have one, you would have the male.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of selective abortions there. So I don't know. I'm guessing, know.
Well, Debbie, you're always interesting. You're always coming on here and stirring up the pot. And now you're going to leave, and we're going to be hung out here.
Well, and this isn't just for parents. This is grandparents. Please go out and check out parentalrights.org, because there's so much good stuff, and they're trying to get parental rights amendment in all the state constitutions, maybe even federally. I haven't read up on it lately. But because they feel like if they don't, that right's gonna slide away.
Okay, all right. Ken, we got any other comments or questions we need to?
Well, we have a couple that are just the general announcements, like this one here from Ken Anderson says, Pooch says hi.
Debbie, that's my high school buddy. Remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Ken.
Hey,
That's a high.
Pooch.
His nickname was Pooch.
Yeah.
I was going to ask for the background on that, but I was afraid to really.
We won't get into that. We're not going to get into
that. Was on the 45-minute show, not the 30 minutes.
We'll leave this for a December highlight reel sometime.
There you go. Yeah.
Other than that, we've got a few others that we're welcoming me aboard, I guess. So
all right.
I'll leave George's comments off. We'll deal with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're way over time, but anyway, it was good. It was a good one. So, Debbie, thank you very much. We got you coming back in December, right?
Yeah, I think it's the 13th.
Okay.
For a civics.
That'll be a civics lesson, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, Debbie. Thank you very much.
Bye.
You. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye, Debbie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Always enjoy having Debbie on. She's always bringing us some very interesting information. So
very educational.
Yes, it is.
Debbie. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ken, now it's segment 2. Let's get into the contributors segment. As I've explained before, we have certain individuals in our organization here in Convention of States, Indiana, that have some very strong opinions on things. And so I've asked them to express their opinions in the form of a pre-recorded message. And we call them COS Indiana Live contributors. And tonight, Marengo Mike has sent us a pre-recorded message. So he's looking for social media warriors. So Ken, let's bring him up and get him started here, okay?
Yep. Step aside.
Marengo Mike wants you. Welcome to another Marengo Mike's Corner. There's a common phrase I'm hearing on the streets these days. Quite frankly, it's a little depressing. People are upset with the direction of our country. And at the end of expressing their disgust, I always hear the phrase, "But what can we do?" That, folks, is where we come in. Educating folks about a constitutional fix that is not well known. Did you also know that there is something everyone can do? And it's a basic volunteer position with Convention of States. If you spend just 5 minutes a day on any social media platforms, you can be a part of history. Spreading the news on Article 5. By becoming a social media warrior and sharing a simple meme on your page and encouraging friends to join you. We can grow the strongest grassroots movement ever in the history of this great nation. We have very important midterm elections coming in 2022, and we need your help. So go to conventionofstates.com and do something for your country. And that's all for now from Marengo Mike's Corner. Bye-bye now.
You wanted to make sure to get that in.
yeah, that Marengo Mike, he has always got his nose into something, hasn't he? I tell you, he's always doing something like that.
Well, he thought that was important before he left for vacation, Dale.
Yes. Okay. Well, social media warriors, we need you. And so if any of you out there want to get involved and want to do that, please listen to this next segment, and we're going to show you how to get that done. But if you want more information, you can contact Ken. Ken, you want to give your email address one more time?
Sure. One more time. It's Ken, Ken Kashuba, Kashuba at cosaction.com. And we'll get you signed up and started and get you on the road to social media warrior.
All right. Good deal. Well, let's get into our final segment here. This is where we're going to invite you to join Convention of States. and got another video here for you to get things started in this particular segment. So here we go.
After the last election, liberty-minded Americans faced a difficult question. What do we do now? Our cities have been ravaged by riots. Calls from the left to defund the police continue unabated, while violent crime and murder rates skyrocket across the country. Joe Biden controls the White House. Sort of. Really, we all know that Joe Biden's no longer in control of his faculties, and others behind the scenes actually control the agenda. Socialists control Congress. Leftists control the deep state. Marxists control our country's schools and universities, and the tech oligarchs are their willing censors and watchful spies. So who has a plan to stop them? Certainly, we're not seeing courage from Capitol Hill to stand up to the Democrats and their woke mob. The good news is that we do have a plan to stop them. This is the only plan that bypasses Biden and Congress to save the republic. And this plan brings the fight to where we, the people, have a political advantage. While many Americans were disappointed in the outcome of this election at the presidential level, liberty-minded state legislators quietly swept to enormous victories. Now's the time to use this to our advantage and draw the fight for our liberties out of the swamp and into the battlefield where we, the people, have the advantage, in the states. This plan to call a convention of states can propose constitutional amendments that prohibit Congress from adding justices to the Supreme Court or states to the Union. This plan can secure our Second Amendment rights. It can eliminate the woke Department of Education, and it can stop the federal government from taking over the state election process. You need to know that this plan's underway already, and it's working. Join 5 million supporters and citizen activists, along with my friends Mark Levin, Rand Paul, Ben Shapiro, Glenn Beck, Mike Huckabee, Sean Hannity, and many, many more.
The Convention of States, ultimately, fundamentally, the way to secure our republic.
Washington is so broken it may not be fixable, that the only way you'll truly get reform is by having a convention where people decide, we need to have term limits, or we have to have a balanced budget amendment.
I have endorsed it, and I believe very strongly that it's the only way we're ever going to get a balanced budget amendment. It's the only way we're ever going to be able to bring some real reform to our system.
I mean, I've been a longtime supporter of the Convention of States and to reestablish the sort of guiding principles of the Constitution.
You have a chance of really saving the republic. I am all in. ConventionofStates.com.
Now I'm joining Convention of States to make this happen. So join me in this constitutional revolution at ConventionofStates.com. They have a petition. Go sign it today.
Support the only plan that bypasses Biden and Congress to save the republic. Sign the petition at ConventionofStates.com.
All right. That's a good video, Ken. I like. I enjoy showing that video. It kind of sums up everything that we're trying to do here in Convention of States.
Very strong.
And, yep. And what I always like to do is I like to bring up our website here, and let's get it over here so we can see. People can see the two of us, but. To join us here in Convention of States, go to that national website that I mentioned to you earlier, conventionofstates.com. And this is what you're going to see when you go to the website. And so the very first thing that we want you to do is become a supporter of Convention of States. And to do that, fill out the information here that is requested of you, sign the petition, and that then makes you a supporter. Now, if you'll follow my cursor up here to the top, if you have some time, if you have an interest in going beyond just becoming a supporter, which is very important, maybe you'd like to explore that social media warrior position that Marengo Mike was talking about, or some other position, then go to the menu selection, Take Action at the top of the website. Click on Take Action, and it'll take you to this page. Then click on this. There's different ways here, different ways you can get to the positions that we have available, but I'm going to select Become a Leader, and that'll take you down here to a number of positions that we have available. I think Social Media Warrior is probably in the volunteer team. Do you know, Ken, where it's located?
Yeah, I believe it is the volunteer
It's
team.
in the join a volunteer team there.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, district captain's a very important position, very key position. Whatever strikes your interest, open it up, read about it. And if you're very interested in it, make application. You're not obligated in any way. You don't have to worry about that. But your name then will come up on a report, and one of us will then be in contact with you to further discuss that position with you. So that's how you join Convention of States. And this is how you take a step to get more involved in a leadership position with us in Convention of States. And that's how, that's as easy as it gets. That's all that is necessary for you to get involved. So with that, I just kind of want to wrap things up. Ken, do we have any more comments or questions that we need to take a look at before we sign off here?
No, we're pretty well taken up outside of the highs and the hellos. There we had one that was mentioned by Jerry Rowe talking about Mark Meckler being on Victory Channel tonight. He's about 2/3 in, but that's on a YouTube channel. So if you do a search for Mark Meckler on Victory Channel, you catch that whatever Mark is doing tonight. But that's
okay.
Yep.
All right.
I'll have that.
Well, okay.
Yep.
Now, I do want to mention that next Monday evening, we have our roundtable. So that is another COS Indiana Live broadcast, but somewhat of an expanded format. So we're going to be talking about Veterans Day, and that's going to be our main topic on the roundtable meeting next Monday evening. So with that in mind, I want to thank Debbie for coming on tonight and being with us. And so Ken, I want to thank you for joining us this evening, and look forward to working with you more and more as we go forward and being a co-host. So I want to thank you, Ken, for being on tonight.
Thanks, Dale. It's been fun.
Good. I always like to kind of wind things up to let everyone know that joining Convention of States and helping us bring about a true Convention of States for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution, we're going to be making history when we do this. This has never been done before. An Article 5 Convention of States for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution has never been done. So join us. We're going to make history here. So with that, let's wind it up. Ken, you got anything else you would like to mention tonight?
Not really, Dale. Looking forward to it. And I know we have some minutes to cut down on, and we'll find a way to do that. But we have a lot of other good ideas, I think, that'll be coming down the pike. So look forward to it.
We went past our goal tonight. We sure did. We'll blame it on Debbie, okay? We'll just blame it on.
We can do that. We can do that.
I see her in the waiting room there. All right, folks, thank you for joining us tonight. Look forward to seeing you next Monday evening for the roundtable meeting. So with that, we'll say good night. Good night, everyone.
Night.